Okay, hello everybody. My name is Ilona Baumane-Vītoliņa. I am Associated Professor at the University of Latvia, Faculty of Business Management and Economics. And I'm happy to introduce online webinar series for our PhD, master, bachelor students, and also for the wider audience, which is on managing uncertainty, perspectives from theory and practice. And today we have our first webinar, which is on the topic innovation ecosystem from a buzzword to success story. And we have a keynote speaker here, and we have panel discussants, and all viewers, you feel free to post your questions in the Zoom format or in a Facebook chat. We will be happy to address them. And the aim of this webinar today is to provoke wider discussion on innovation ecosystem, to involve members from different sectors. And yes, so I will now give a floor to our keynote, which is Triin Kask, entrepreneur from Estonia. She was founder and CEO of startup Nevercode. And now she's also very actively involved in startup community in Estonia. So she will share her story on innovation ecosystem in Estonia, and then we will reflect on it. So I give a floor to Triin. Please.
Thank you, Ilona. Hello, everybody. Hello, my good friends in Latvia. And I'm really glad to be invited to share the story of Estonian startup ecosystem, and why I say it's a story, because I would like to give like more perspective from a founder, being one myself. So my presentation will be concentrating around the ecosystem in startups or for startups in Estonia, and how it actually is to be a founder with a startup in this ecosystem. So yes, I will be now sharing my screen so that you can all see also the slides. So basically, I think that the very important question here is, yes, we can have a startup ecosystem, but what's it in it for a startup? What actually a startup gains from this ecosystem? Because when we talk about startup ecosystem, it should be benefiting mostly the startups. And currently, just to give also a bit of background of myself, so today I'm very much focusing on different activities in the startup ecosystem, as I left my CEO position from Nevercode last year. So currently I'm actively participating at the Estonian Founders Society, and I'm a board member there for diversity. Then I'm also a program manager at Startup Day 2021. Yes, we're not going to leave our huge event behind, and we're definitely going to have it this January. And I'm still, no one can take the title of a co-founder away from me. So I am a co-founder of Nevercode, and also actively supporting as an advisor the team who is running the company now. And what I also want to emphasize here is that I've used the materials from Startup Estonia regarding statistics, and have used their presentation as well as the white paper that they have just introduced. Now, to give a bit of background of the statistics of Estonian startup scene. So it's a very fast growing sector, the fastest growing in Estonia. And although the number of startups might not be comparable to, in general, how many entrepreneurs or how many companies there are in Estonia, but still it has grown 30% per year, and we have more than 1,000 startups in Estonia. And I think what is really important, what we really emphasize when we create value to the startup ecosystem is that we do create a lot of new jobs. We do pay a lot of employment taxes, and these numbers are also increasing. And if you look at, those turnover numbers that I've brought out here, then you can see that already in the first quarter of 2020, the turnover was 41% bigger than compared to the same period in 2019, which is really impressive. And we have raised over 1.6 billion in the last 12 years. And to mention maybe the biggest influencers so far, I have to bring out the 4 main unicorns that we have. So the first one, Playtech, then we had Skype, and then now the very strongly who are playing their role in the market worldwide are Bolt and TransferWise. Okay, so now the biggest influencer to the startup ecosystem has been, of course, Skype. Although Estonia has been doing a lot in governmental level as well, like Tiger Leap in 90s and like big leaps also in our like e-governmental system, then Skype definitely had the biggest influence to the whole sector. And when Skype was acquired by first eBay and then Microsoft back in 2006 and 7, then there was 3 main components that influenced the ecosystem. First, a lot of talent was released from Skype later. There are new founders coming from Skype. Those founders were called the Skype Mafia. And these talented people started to found their own companies, and namely Bolt and TransferWise are also founded. The next 2 biggest influencers or the unicorns are founded by previous Skype employees. Then, we got our new first startup millionaires out of the acquisition by Microsoft and eBay, then it also had a huge influence on the investment sphere in Estonia, because prior to that we had really limited number of risk capitalists who were investing into startups, and now there were people who were the founders of Skype who now founded their investment funds, like Ambit Sound Investment ASI was mainly founded exactly by Skype founders. And also the acquisition was a huge influence into to the angel investor network. So from this moment also the angel investing became more vivid, and Estonian Business Angel Network was also founded, of course, later when already there were more startups coming out, but just to give you an example what kind of influence actually Skype had at that time, because before Skype and before this acquisition, everybody was talking about like how to find our own Nokia. Like, I don't know if it was the same in Latvia, but at that time in 90s and in the early 2000s, we were really looking for the Estonian version of Nokia. And now, it's kind of like, what could be the next Skype? And now we're talking like, what could be the next Bolt? What could be the next TransferWise? What could be the next e-residency or whatnot is now kind of like the main keywords or the main influencers in our ecosystem. So we're always like looking for the next big thing. And of course, Skype had also a huge influence on government. So the whole buzz, it was not just a buzz, of course, it was like, it was people, it was money, it was innovation, it was the startup mindset that really started to flourish. And government was also hit by all those things. So our Estonian government put a lot of attention to startups and also to digitalization. So if you probably know also about e-residency. So these are the examples, or startup visa, what I will be later also talking about, that really have a huge, have had a huge influence from the government, and mainly initiated, yes, from the startup sector, but got a huge support from the governmental side. And Skype also had a huge influence on me personally. So I remember very well when Skype was acquired in the late 2000s by Microsoft. And I was thinking myself that I would really like to also found some company. And I was thinking, like, what kind of company should it be? Should I open an accounting company, or should it be a cafe, or should it be like a consulting business? And I was looking at different sectors at that time. I remember so clearly that when Skype was acquired, I was like, IT sector is something that I should really get involved into. But as I was, studying economics, I had like no clue where to start with an IT business. So my first startup, actually, I founded my first startup in 2010, but just after the Skype thinking and about making something in the IT sector, I remember so clearly it was May 2008 when I went to a cafe and later came back, and I saw again a parking ticket on my car's window, and I was like so dissatisfied with the situation, because it had occurred not one time but several times, and I was thinking, like, why hasn't anyone thought of any whatever GPS solution that could really automatically start your parking payment when you leave the car, and later when you drive away it automatically ends. And this thinking, of course, brought me forward, and I was like, this could really be something, that I could build. It's related to GPS, it's related to IT, it's related to tech. So maybe this is, the next Skype. That was my kind of naive thinking back then. And I did pursue. And in 2010, when I found my co-founder, because I was not an IT person myself, so I was looking a year and a half, I was looking for a technical co-founder, and finally I found him. And he also brought along the team who had 10 plus years of experience in location-based services. They were not former Skype employees, but they were working closely together with different location-based services worldwide, not just in Estonia. So I really had a very talented team. And of course we got because at that time everybody was so thrilled of the success story of Skype. So it was like, the sky is the limit, and let's just go on and continue with our dream to build an automated parking payment system. And we did. This is the prototype of Blue Navi, which was the automated parking payment device. So you put it in your car cigarette lighter, and when you switched off the engine, then it automatically started parking payment, because it was connected to a database that, based on the GPS location, actually understood, is it a parking payment area or not? And then if it was, then it knew what kind of tax is there, and then put the payment on. And later when you drove off, then it automatically ended parking. So it was really cool, and we were those thrilled. And now what I really want to emphasize from the startup ecosystem perspective, because it was back then in 2010, 2011, it was just about to start off as a startup itself. So we had first we had Tallinn Technical or technology park, Technopol, which started to understand, how actually startups are made. I remember when I was introduced to the word accelerator back in 2012. It was, if you think about it, it was, the first words or the first terms that we now use every day. And back then they were something like really new, like minimum viable product, accelerator, or bootstrapping or pivoting. Those were really like, oh my God, what do these words mean? And the same, it was not just for startups, it was also for the ecosystem. But at that time, as I was saying, government also put a lot of effort and attention on the startup sector, because we have always been kind of like E-related or E-oriented. Then I remember so well when in 2012 I won the pitching competition in Latitude 59, and then with the mission of Enterprise Estonia, that is also a governmental institution to be the intermediate between entrepreneurs and the government. And I went with this mission to Silicon Valley, and then I spent 3 months there, and I was really well introduced by the Estonian enterprise people to local players there. So this is kind of like what happened, at that time. And when we think where we are now, then the situation is so much different. In this 10 years, in the last 10 years, the Estonian startup ecosystem has really bloomed. And I think that the key moment here is actually the kind of the collaboration between different parties. But before going and giving an overview there, I would also like to tell a little bit about my second startup, because the first one, the Blue Navi, actually went into bankruptcy. It didn't go into bankruptcy. We just closed the company because we ran out of money and motivation. And it's a usual story. It's a different story, a separate story. I'm happy to share that, but currently just shortly saying that the company was dissolved. And at that time, I remember that I was in Tartu, and there was like no startup or even entrepreneurship related organization here that was strongly present in the market. And in 2014, we organized with students from IT and economic faculty of economics. We organized the first startup day. And it was a tiny event, and I remember how we looked for the sponsors. And the companies in Tartu, they were not quite sure like how to support this kind of event, and should they? And the city government in Tartu was also like, what is this? This startup event, and there was like not much enthusiasm about it. But then, as it usually, I see what is really kind of the key in Estonian startup ecosystem are the entrepreneurs or the startups themselves. So it were the startups in Tartu that actually influenced the local government here and university and other startuppers to start to work on closely on flourishing or increasing the ecosystem here in Tartu. And that's kind of like what you can see as a manifestation of when you come to Startup Day. This is the manifestation of the collaboration between Swedbank, between creative industry incubators, between the city, between the university, between Tartu and Tallinn Science Park, between, there are so many different organizations involved, Startup Estonia. So all these organizations are really putting their effort into collaboration and working on making something, meaningful, not just as the conference or the festival, but in general. So when I'm talking about Never Code, I would really like to also emphasize, those things that we got so much out of. That was exactly the outcome of the collaboration between different parties in Estonian startup ecosystem. So Nevercode was a very technical, is a very technical product. We founded it in 2015. I was the CEO for 5 years. And it was a technical tool or a productivity tool for developers. I will not go too deeply into what we exactly did, but I think that what is really important to mention is that we also closed a deal with Google, and that brought us a very important kind of increase in our revenue. And of course, it had also a remarkable effect on finding talent. And why I'm saying this is because it was very much also influenced by the collaboration between parties. I would just like to show, I probably, I'm failing probably with this slide because all these logos are so tiny here, but I just want to show you different players in different spheres in the startup ecosystem to just give you an idea who are in the bigger players in our ecosystem. And what is really remarkable is that because of those collaborations, and what we cannot see here is government, but for example, when we talk about e-residency, what was influenced or what was initiated by government itself, then of course it has had a huge influence on our like country image. Like, what is the image of Estonia in general globally? After e-residency was introduced several years ago, then I remember so well, for example, when I went to Silicon Valley in 2012 with my first startup, no one knew much about Estonia. When I was talking to different investors or startuppers or people from accelerators, they were like, Estonia, so where is this? And when I was mentioning Skype, no one knew that Skype was actually founded by Estonian, like one of the founders or some of the founders were Estonian tech people. So they were thinking, but Skype is Microsoft. So it had like no relevant influence. It had a relevant influence in Estonia, but Skype had like no global influence on our image. As of the country who is like very innovative and startup minded. But then when I went back to Silicon Valley in 2016, then I already noticed that more and more people knew about Estonia, and they knew that, you're the Estonian mafia, you're the Skype mafia. So something had switched. And when we introduced e-residency, then, the whole thing went off, because when I was in Silicon Valley, then in 2017, 2018, I really felt the difference of how people perceived Estonia's startup ecosystem. So they were, everybody, you're from Estonia. Yes, your president was just here a couple of months ago, or there was a delegation from e-residency just visited our accelerator. So there was you could hear that, really the manifestation of the ecosystem was present in those areas. And it was, as a startup founder, it was really easy to open doors. And I think that was kind of the main reason why Google trusted us, a small team from Tartu, and they really trusted a very important part of their product development into our hands. And I think that a huge part of this was kind of the reputation of Estonian startups. And a lot of this reputation has been brought to the wide world by the institution, not startups only themselves, but all these related institutions and activities. And the central role or the central organizer of Estonian startup ecosystem is Startup Estonia. It is also it is a subdivision under Enterprise Estonia and governmentally supported. And Startup Estonia is phenomenal in this sense that it really works on making the ecosystem transparent, making the ecosystem work together. There is a lot of like communication going on between different parties. We have like a huge community in Slack where all the presenters of important key players in the ecosystem are. And just, to maybe show you an example. So a couple of weeks ago, the key players of Estonian startup ecosystem were all in Pärnu, and we met there and we discussed how to make the, how to kind of like push the next step in Estonian startup ecosystem, so that we could really even increase more the relevance regarding employment or revenue or investment, so that it's really beneficial for startups. And maybe one thing, what I from a founder's perspective, what we really see as one of the most beautiful outcome of the collaboration between the ecosystem, government, and startups themselves was the startup visa. So a startup visa is mainly targeted towards people from third countries that are not in the EU. So we also in Nevercode, we use startup visa to get people from Russia to Belarus, from Russia, from Belarus, from Ukraine, from India, from Colombia. So startup visa has been really useful to get talent into Estonia. And there are some data about the influence or the results. So we have altogether over 2,000 people who have relocated to Estonia because of startup visa. And if you look at the top countries, we have founders coming from different countries as well as employees. So we use startup visa to find employees, but we have more and more founders who are relocating to Estonia. And that is also one of the influence of the ecosystem that is really flourishing and collaborating very actively. And maybe some remarkable data here as well. So what kind of value, monetary value, especially startups founded with the help of startup visa. So I think it's also remarkable that we can say that the turnover because of startup visa is over 17 million euros, and it is changing, it is growing. So from the founder's perspective, all these measurements or all these possibilities that the government and the organizations provide to startups, these are crucial. And these are really helping to get talent here, to get more investments into Estonia. And to sum up my presentation, so when I was like starting with Skype and the Skype mafia, then now kind of if we look at the word cloud, what are the main words that are related to Estonian startup ecosystem? Then yes, we have the e-residency, which is really important startup, governmental startup. Then we see Estonian mafia still playing a role, but now because of diversification and getting more females also into the startup ecosystem, we are now concentrating on the hashtag founders. Then we have talent pool, unicorns, founders, so diversity, all these words really matter. And I think that, just to leave you with the cloud and those key elements here. And I hope that you got a sense of what it is to be a founder in Estonian startup ecosystem. Thank you.
Okay, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Triin, for your presentation. So now I will introduce our panel, and I would like them to then be visible, and then I will give them a word to reflect on your presentation. So we have here Kristaps Banga, who is Accenture Innovation Lead and New Business Developer.
Hello.
Yeah, hi Kristaps, nice to see you. Then we have Evita Feldberga, who is head of sectoral policies development from the Ministry of Economics.
Hi.
Hi. Then we have Emil Syundyukov, who is PhD student, CTO of Longenesis and co-founder of Koatum.
Hi everyone.
Hi. Yeah. And last but not the least, Aleksis Orlovs, who is co-owner and CFO, CEO of Sonarworks, which, yes, hopefully will be our next Skype. Yeah.
Well.
Yeah. Okay, so I will then now give a word to each of you. Yeah, let's start with Kristaps. If you could shortly introduce yourself and maybe give some reflection on what Triin said and on your own experience within Latvian innovation ecosystem, because for sure we also have all the needed components, but maybe, yeah, this tipping point has not yet happened, and this would be also the main topic of our discussion: how to make it work, yeah, in more way. So yeah, Kristaps, floor is yours. So 3-5 minutes.
Thanks, Ilona. I will not take all the 5 minutes, but thanks, Triin, for interesting pitch. Really was interesting to listen into how it was and still is happening in Estonia. Few words about me. My current role is Accenture Latvia Innovation Lead, around 5 years. So although we are located here out of Latvia, 1,500 people, we serve most of the top 200 global companies for the IT services and also different now also design and marketing activities. From that perspective, startup ecosystem is also a very strong element in our partnership in a broader sense of the open innovations, because we collaborate both with the startups as well with the academic segment for the innovations. And we believe that it's really important to have this wide opening mindset and look into all partnership elements, because while building services or while doing a business transformation for client and user specific needs, it's important to utilize all the different and diverse experiences, services, and that definitely is possible once you collaborate across the globe with the different entities. I believe on your side, definitely Skype was some very good kind of Kickstarter for this ecosystem, and definitely this kind of element of evidence-based credentials is definitely much easier than for the rest of the business to build up on that. Still, I believe that's also came with a lot of hard work before that, right? So nothing happens just without anything, right? So good stuff, guys. Keep on that doing. From the broader perspective, I believe I'm glad that we have such neighbors, right? So once we're going out as a Baltics, we also, in that sense, feel proud also about you. And of course, we say that this is a really kind of a Baltic thing, and we definitely are proud about you. So yes, I believe I like the proposition, as you mentioned, about this. What's in it for the startups, right? But in the other thing, I think it's also at the same time look also on vice versa, right? How the startups also can support the whole ecosystem, right? So, of course, it's in a positive way. It's a rebel kind of acceleration and a lot of good ideas. But at the same time, also, I think it's very important to look on the mid and long-term perspective, how that could support the whole government, kind of local ecosystem and do this acceleration, right? So more and more these hybrid models, I think, is that what is beneficial for overall kind of country growth, right? When some mixture of so-called entrepreneurs going into the company side, and again, then the people from the maybe government or corporate side joining the startups, and again, having these diverse teams make totally different maybe ideas happening than possible, right? Yeah, that's kind of Ilona, short observation from my side. Looking forward for fruitful discussion.
Okay, thanks a lot. Thanks. So I will give a word to Aleksis as a representative of very successful startup. Yeah. So what is your experience? How Sonarworks benefited from Latvian ecosystem, if any? And yeah, what is your reflection on Triin's keynote?
Yeah. First about the Sonarworks and then about the system. If we speak about the Sonarworks, then we do use different system elements. First of all, of course, if we speak about the money, then we got the investments from Latvian first of the funds like Imprimatur, FlyCap. Also, we have benefited from Estonian funds like Karma VC or Super Angel. So we use the system of both, also from Lithuanian, actually from all three Baltic countries, we use the money. If we speak about the people, then we are quite multinational. We have different employees, also relocated from Russia. We don't have startup visa yet, and it's a good idea. Actually, Triin, it would be very nice to get one slide from you from this benefit for economy from your startup visa, because we still need to do more lobbying on this one. And if we speak about government, actually, it's government had a lot of now government have a lot of initiatives. Also, startup law is just reworked and approved in SIMA in September. Now it's in a much more better shape. And if about the networking, then we have associations, we have accelerators. Sonarworks is a member of a startup association. That's it for time being. But just today morning, we decided that we will go to the Red Jacket also association. It's export promoting. If we speak about the overall innovation ecosystem, I had a chance to think about it yesterday evening because I saw it in your email. I can't share my screen, but I found very nice, table. Actually, it's very similar what Triin was showing. It's this table was created by creators. This is a innovation laboratory, which is located in a startup city, in a startup nation. So it's Tel Aviv, and I just put it in the chat, and I put. For myself, in which level Latvia is. It's 5 levels of innovation ecosystem maturity. So my feeling currently is that we are between 2nd and 3rd level of development and maturity of our ecosystem. And it's just because we still didn't experience our first unicorn exit. So we don't have so much money for invest. So we have some 1 to 3 angel investors, but actually they are very, very small angel investors. We don't have like a startup mafia, real angel investors. Yeah. So we have not so much money currently in our ecosystem. And if we speak about the people, then one of culture element is so not to fear to fail. Yeah, in the Triin presentation, it was a terminology, the failure culture. Yeah, in Latvia, we are not so far yet. And also this startup spirit and like entrepreneurship between the people, it's not so high. Yeah, so Estonia, I would say they are on level 4, definitely. We are not there yet. That's all from me.
Okay, thanks a lot. Yeah, then Evita, as a representative from the governmental sector, as we talked a lot about the role of the government. So, floor is yours.
Thank you. So yes, I work in ministry with innovations and innovation ecosystems based on cluster approach. So cluster theory is pretty close to me. Also, the new approach that you brought on this cluster theory, talk about whole ecosystem. This is what I am not on the same page probably about this horizontal approach that you have one type of organization companies and you try to boost them. Definitely, we need to support new entrepreneurs and new people who want to do things, no doubt about that. But this is like, we look at ecosystem more broadly. We talk about companies that are a bit medium-sized, big companies. I think the biggest benefit for new starter is that he have, or her, wherever this starter have some ecosystem around that is more mature and can the value of that can be much higher than if we talk just about this starter position. That is from my point of view, because I work with different kind of sectors, and I work with like traditional sectors that is more vertical, for example, ecosystem in, I don't know, electronics or other kind of sectors. In this ecosystem, you have startups, you have medium-sized, big-sized companies, etc. And then you have this horizontal approach. Now we also, the newest, not trend, but practice is that you look at the value chain ecosystem, and in this value chain ecosystem you have all kinds of companies and also much broader sense than just triple helix or quadruple helix. It is more involving. We look also at the financial sources in this ecosystems. And I would like also emphasize that ecosystem doesn't mean just the financial support that companies would like to think. It is not like that. And we have to, I think the real ecosystem should work. The benefit from ecosystem, first of all, is ideas, transfer of knowledge, transfer of contacts, help, etc. And then when you need, you know where is the source of money or financing. So I think it's vice versa. And from our side, as I told already, that we look at the ecosystem, innovation ecosystem, much broader sense than like in one horizontal or vertical sense. Yes, really fast, like this reflection. I will leave it here like that, and then we can keep discussing this.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Evita, for your comment. So, Emil, could you, or Kristaps wants to say?
No, it just thumbs up. I agree that it's a much broader topic. Yeah.
Okay, so Emil, could you share your experience and introduce yourself? And because you are here like the member of research, let's say, community who really does some commercialization. So if you could tell a bit more about it.
Okay. Hi, everyone. It's a pleasure to hear, the panelists talking about the innovation ecosystem in Latvia. Triin, thanks a lot, actually, for sharing that. So, on majority of the calls, when we have calls with the partners or investors, and we say that we have an office in Latvia, they mention, oh, Estonia, we know Estonia quite well, so that's a good job you're doing. Yeah, my name is Emil. I'm a computer scientist. I'm mainly, I wear a couple of hats. The bigger hat I'm wearing is a more industrial one. So we have two ventures founded here in Latvia. With one is the more digital health related. We're working with governmental level projects in biopharma in the Asian market and Middle East. And another one is more biotech, which is wet or solid science, I will call it. So basically, we would do the clinical trials. And we have offices in Riga, Latvia, which is the majority of the team is being located. And in order to elaborate, so our IP is also coming partially from the universities, not only Latvian ones, but also one startup is collaborating with one of the universities in Russia. But nevertheless, what I would like to add to what Triin and the panelists said is that we in Latvia are mainly concentrating on just certain of the points in the whole pipeline. Basically, we love the words hackathons, we love the words meetups, conferences, whatsoever. But this, especially in the biotech, when you need the competences combined very, very smoothly and very, very strictly, it's not just creating Airbnb for dogs or I don't know, like Yo app or whatsoever, but just coding, going outside and validating. You should be thinking not only about this dots on the whole pipeline, but you should be thinking about the basement level that we're creating. And this is what we're lacking actually. If we go back to the university or academic now, and we see the researchers working on some kind of projects, we really lack the commercialization strategy outlined there. So basically the money is out there, so it's not adding up to what our colleague from Sonarworks said. It's not only about the exit. For sure, it will be the just jump forward towards the startup ecosystem race in Latvia once again. But apart from that, money is there. So investors are outside. Speaking of medtech or biotech, and but the problem is that we don't have this the basement layer where they can look into, where they can understand. Okay, so this IP is coming from academic side. Here is the guys from Faculty of Medicine, Biology, here are computer scientists working together. They created a spin-off. There is a very right and concentrated IP division in the startup if it's coming from university, and this is what we're lacking. Another part, it's not something rocket science. So there is many golden formulas. If we're speaking once again about my field, which is biotech, medtech, I will not be sharing the video, but basically there is a book, something like that, which is Stanford, University of Stanford created. For the last 30 years, they were monitoring the course of commercialization and what students or researchers made there as a projects, and then the spin-offs or successful startups. And the call to action was there is you should make the events to combine competencies for sure, to drop people into the mixer so they get to know each other, they start working with each other, we create crazy ideas within 48 to 72 hours based on the event. But before that, you need to create an understanding for each of these competences to look across the fence, so they understand how to use that, how to apply that, how to look at the problem solving in their sphere of competences, and combine each other's skills all together. And unfortunately, we're still trying to cultivate this. I think we should look more. Look more also into the Estonian side, because I think you found this golden formula of creating a very good marketing side, because everyone knows about Estonian market if we're speaking about the Baltic states. But we also should look into not just creating some kind of events just for doing the events and just seeing happy faces, but we should have some kind of logic, step-by-step logic if we create a process diagram. So what should I do if I have an idea or I have a research project I'm working at? What are the next steps for me as a researcher, we're speaking from the academic side, for me to try the venture world out? So what should I do? Where should I go? What should I try out? How to prepare? And this is the hectic thing that we still have there. It's not only about the research; it's also about the student, the graduates. That should be mixed match there. But nevertheless, yeah, I would be happy to discuss, and I would be happy to share my my thoughts and competences, both for working in the Asian market and with academic sphere as well. Thanks.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Emil. And yes, indeed, there was very valid point that in general in this discussion, what was also raised by Evita, that of course ecosystem is not the narrow, let's say, support of startups and not only finances. So it is about the whole value chain. It is, of course, finances is the part of it, but it is about the culture, about the legal system, about the access to talents, about the commercialization, etc. So this for sure is true. And thanks, Emil, that in fact you smoothly went to my second question for this discussion. So you outlined that, if I understood correctly, that one of the main points is that yes, we are missing commercialization strategy. We are missing talent here who have experience in, let's say, fast growing companies, who have this biotech or some specific knowledge and experience. And of course, the story is like recently there was a McKinsey report released on European startup ecosystem, and the main point there was that European startups in general are lagging behind US startups, and the main reasons are, so one of course is like and it's for the whole Europe, that there is a lack of risk investments. So in general, Europeans are more risk averse. So this is one reason. Another reason is, of course, that there is also the lack of talent pools, even in such cities as London or Stockholm or Berlin. It is still, they are not that big concentration of the talents as it is in Silicon Valley or New York, for sure. And also the culture and the different legislation that we have in different European countries, which make one particular market much smaller. So these all are obstacles for European startups in general. But as also Aleksis mentioned, that we are on a second or maybe third level only now. So maybe one of the questions now is, so how to rise to the next level? And of course, we have to admit that we are in a periphery of Europe, but at the same time, we have this quite good example of Estonia who could make it. So Emil started a very good discussion on these missing components from his side. So maybe you could continue with your comments on the missing components, and maybe also broadening up. So what should a successful innovation ecosystem in Latvia or in the region, let's say, look in the future? Maybe Alex, if you could start with this.
Yeah. Okay, then I would say that let's go by the same horizontals of a picture I sent. Yeah, you're right. When we go fundraise, then and speak about the money, then in Europe it's much more harder to get the valuation what we could get in Silicon Valley. That is why we founded the company as a subsidiary of us in Palo Alto this year, and we are planning the next fundraising round in US. Latvia and Europe, it's just about the mentality. Here probably we can't do a lot. If we speak about the people and talent attraction, then I would say that the direction where to go is definitely liberalization of visas, what Triin was speaking. A startup visa for us would be very beneficial just to bring the talent, because currently the time how to get the talent here is quite long, and it's not always clear whether it will be successful. And this would help. I just can join the Emil that if you need some specific skills, then it's very hard to get the right talent nearby. And as you was mentioned, even in Berlin or UK, we cannot get one. Now we are in a search for specific person, and we are just speaking in with the people in LA or San Francisco. Yeah, we can't get it here. From government support additionally to the startup visas in UK, in France, in Germany, what governments additionally do, they also during the COVID now programs, what they have, they just invest in a startup equity, because currently it's very hard to fundraise, and the governments also support startups with equity loans. If we speak about the different networking events in Latvia, then still we need at least one successful exit to boost it. I don't think that currently we're doing a lot, and all this clusterization program, what is done by economic ministry, when you try to bring universities and companies and do the project, it's good, but still we need some big exit to reboost the company, to reboost the system as it will. That's all for me.
Okay, thanks. So Kristaps, maybe you can add on the missing components and let's say future ecosystem view.
Thanks. Yeah, I would bring it back a bit to the core topic of this call. So it's a broader sense of the innovation ecosystem and innovations kind of in general. So it's I think all the best Triin to the startup mafia and etc. But I think it's, if we really want to accelerate the innovations at scale, we really need to kind of also broader this mindset that the innovation ecosystem it's really much broader, and we also need to look at the end deliverables, which would be these kind of KPIs. It's not only about the exits, it's also how the, I don't know, some important processes changes in the country, right? For example, using the opportunity Evita is here, just tries again this. I think it's a very important need about this innovation procurement, right? And about the public-private partnership kind of new way of implementation, which would allow, those both things would allow, let's say, to accelerate new ideas and to be tested, right? Because for innovations, it's really critical that they go out of the lab and they are tested in real environment, right? It's not, and this is maybe, Ilona, coming back, I think there also was mentioned in one of the questions, what are the positive advantages of the Baltics, right? We are a small market, but in that sense, that is a kind of much quicker possibility to get the feedback, right? Feedback from the end user, feedback and decision also from the involved kind of policy stakeholders, right? Because in a positive sense, I think in the Baltics, everyone knows a minister or somebody through one or two persons, right? So it's a really shortcut we need to utilize to get the understanding, go, no go, what's needed to do, and to make this collaboration more effective, right? So that is one is about this innovation procurement. And we know that it's not only kind of showstopper just here in the Baltics, it's a kind of overall showstopper, right? And then I really agree with Emil that there is actually this gap between this kind of labs to market, right? So there is a lot of activities and a lot of smart people to innovate around the cool ideas. And then there are, so to say, angel investors and companies who has kind of market experience. But this transition model, this is a pretty kind of, at this stage, I would say pretty vague, right? So everybody expects that it will be done on the other side expenses, right? Because nobody really wants to kind of go full skin in a game until you know what will be the result, right? And probably, again, that is some of the mechanisms and tools which could be somehow supported. I don't know, by EU funds, by government, who actually closes this gap of how to kind of survive for the startup, or how to survive for the academic spin-off once they go out of this embryonial kind of form, right? Because once you are out, right? So you need to start to survive from the day one. Right? That would be, let's say, my kind of ask. And another thing, let's say, if speaking up from the Accenture as a corporate side, as we as agency working with tons of the clients and seeing what's their feedback, of course, they are lacking this kind of maturity of kind of business case, or maturity of the partnership proposals once the startups or new ideas are coming to their side, right? So it's very important, as you mentioned, the ecosystem. It's not only about the investments. I think it's really very important about the smart partners and smart kind of partnership in general, right? Who can be those bridge makers, who can be mentors, not only, again, not just looking just from business side, but also from the, let's say, industry side, also from the infrastructure side, also from the policy side, as once you enter different new markets, right? So it's a tons of different kind of topics which pops on your table once you really want to scale, right? So I think this is few of the things we need to kind of accelerate and move forward. Of course, there will be some failures on the way, but I think that's the same as with kind of software prototyping, right? We just need to go forward through some prototyping iterative steps and try out and then look forward, right? Thanks.
Okay.
I hope I was not on mute.
Thanks. So, Emils, maybe you would like to comment on Kristaps' talk, or also add something on missing components in the future.
Yeah, sure, yeah, definitely. So first and foremost, I think we should not only be speaking about the US market.
The sound is quite bad.
Sound is very bad. No sound at all.
Just a sec.
Oh,
and
it's okay.
We're back on track. Hey, I think we should not only be looking to the US side, but also to the Asian side, because we have an office in Hong Kong, and that's a crazy space, like enormous amount of capital, enormous amount of talent working 7 days a week, which is basically, why they develop like 2 or maybe 3 times faster than the US markets. Fortunate to them and unfortunate to the US. But nevertheless, I think, we should basically, if we were to answer this question, we should basically, do the same stakeholder map we all do at our ventures, and just to understand both the pains and the interest that, every stakeholder can gain there. So from legislation point of view, we should admit that, we, as a government, we should create an infrastructure that won't be disturbing startups like Sonarworks, take the talents from around the globe to Latvia, from, both to the enterprises like Accenture to scale, because they bring enormous amount of value. As Triin also outlined, there was a very tangible, I think, added value to the country and to the budget. But I think what we should do as well is we should also look. We touched the point of talent acquisition, and that we need this talent and this this flame inside of the person to get new ideas to work all together. And we once again, get back to this philosophical question. I think every discussion will get back there, which is education. And we should think there more strictly on, not just replicating what we've seen. Oh, nice, hackathons, that's cool. Let's make 200 hackathons a year in Latvia, because, without any further steps or background steps, it won't make, too much of a sense. Because what we have right now in Latvia, we make this events, then it is Sunday evening, everyone is happy drinking beer and, having, 1,000, 5,000 euro ticket. Then it is Monday morning and these people don't know what to do. Basically, they wake up and it's like, okay, nice, let's buy some more beer for this 1,000 euro. But nevertheless, there is no framework where they can go. And this is about actually, working all together. And as Kristaps outlined as well, it's not only about the public sector, for sure. We should, take the responsibility on, but also the private one. I think Accenture is quite a good example that Kristaps do with the students, and actually to see that the big corporates are also open towards that. Basically, we should turn on this mindset, and this is very important, because once the mindset is set up and once the legislation is quite comfort, we won't build Latvia as a next San Francisco or Hong Kong, but here are cool benefits. Like, we have 25 people in our office, and why we're here, when we speak with US or Asian investors, they see the payrolls, which is not, the like US doctor gets, a lot of a payroll in a year. And they are very happy about that, because we have cool talents here with, quite decent, like normal expenses. And I think this is our benefit. Small market, good talents, if we can bring them more here, and, very good environment, we can basically set up, excel, and work culture.
Okay, yeah, thanks a lot. So Evita, yeah, maybe your perspective.
Yes, it was good ideas from all of speakers. And I did conclusion in my head that actually ecosystem main task is to fill the gaps and connect these processes when you start, from start till the end. And as closer and more matured ecosystem is, it's easier to know what to do in every stage. So for the people, also now I work in ministry for 5 years, and still I get news that there in that university there is this bright mind that do this and that, and now they will build something, and all the time. So I have quite good overview what we have and what we don't have, our strong sides and weak ones. And I still have surprises. I don't know anything, and I can't say which person is the right for the job. And I just think that for the new ones, you come into this community and you have to find right people. It's almost impossible to know where can I find some right mind to develop my product or idea. And especially in deep tech, I think it's very, very hard. So connecting the dots, and here I also like this, that private sector, big companies inside also have so much knowledge and skills and experiences that when you bring it out, the benefit for ecosystem is huge, much more, I think, than we as a government try to make it and naturally to bring together some parts and say that, oh, you should do something. So yes, so fill the gaps, and for government, definitely see these points like Kristaps said, where you should invest public money in this small parts that no one is ready to take a risk for. Yeah, something like this is in my mind now. Thank you.
Okay, thanks a lot. So maybe Triin, you could comment now on a big brother, big sister comment on what we have.
I actually had several thoughts out of this discussion, and it reminds me some of the obstacles or some of the limitations that we also had not actually a long time ago. And I totally agree here what Emil was saying about, the next steps. Like, we also have, this Garage 48 hackathons, and we used to have a lot of hackathons, and we used to have the same problem, that they were like, yay, come for the weekend and go crazy and build, your startup and whatnot. And then they were like, and went home, and it was like Monday. So what now? Okay, back to where I was. And then what started to happen, because we saw that it's not sustainable, it's not actually, it is creating a lot of buzz, it is definitely promoting startup mindset, and it is good for marketing and whatnot. but at the same time, you know, there was like no sustainability in this. And what we started to do was to have like more of these programs that were coming after the hackathon. So for example, when we talk about commercializing youth university projects, it has been also the same in Estonia. Like we have such talent in universities, and we are not putting enough emphasis on how to commercialize it and how to support, not from the university side only, but from the ecosystem side, how to help to commercialize these ideas. And now we have, for example, not just a weekend hackathons, but we have like 9-month programs. It's not only about even like accelerators, but we're thinking really about, okay, early stage, like let's get this thing going, then how to actually build your product, or how to do the minimum viable product, and what happens then, how to go to your customers. And a huge deal here, what I would really, I don't know if you have this kind of society, but the founder society, what we have in Estonia, it is also benefiting a lot of the new founders who are coming. Like we have this very easy access to founders, and we have very many different events. In this sense, they are good that successful founders go there to help and mentor young startuppers or young founders. And also founders are doing a lot of collaboration with government. So Startup Visa was a result of not just lobbying, but actually working together with the Ministry of Economics and Ministry of what not. So I'm not so good in politics yet. But just also engaging founders more is I think a key. And when we have more founders, and also, you know, those founders who have maybe just one step ahead of the really early stage, they are already very beneficial. So it's like, you know, giving back is really working in Estonia very well. What I think I agree with Evita that it's a maturity issue a bit, but at the same time, you know, better late than never. Okay, so like I know there are so many cool founders in Latvia, so I think that just engaging them more in a more active way, and really, because I think that the most patriotic people in Estonia are actually startup founders. This is how we also promote ourselves, and I think that being like the most patriotic people in Latvia and being an entrepreneur could be really the right message for the ecosystem. That's my 2 cents.
Good. Thanks a lot. So I would invite also the audience now to pose their questions in a chat. So let's see, then we'll try to answer. Maybe there are some other angles that were not covered yet. But while audience is still thinking about the questions, so maybe, one of the last questions then from my side would be, how do you see how this whole COVID crisis, can we maybe use it now to our advantage? So what can it bring to us as a region to make the situation better? So who would like to start? Maybe Emil this time. Well, good.
Yeah, not a problem at all. So in 2 sentences, the COVID crisis we use personally might sound incorrectly, but we use this as an opportunity because we actually scaled up during the COVID time like twice, and now our team is serving a couple of governmental initiatives towards COVID-19 research, both in Middle East and in Asian governments. So this is a part of a good thing basically that we can use, and for sure it's a time for transformation, especially for the fields of the industry which are not connected to mine. And I won't be the best person to tell how to get out and and pivot from what's happening there, especially in travel or hospitality and other sphere of industries, but I think we should treat that as for sure as an opportunity, because if we speak about my field of operation, like the biotech and health tech, that's a very good start when basically the stakeholders started thinking, oh, wow, we should actually digitize something. We should actually think about, not only just staying in the convenient and classical way how we operated, for the last dozens of years, but we should think about how to work with private companies, especially also SMEs, to make the processes go faster. And I think, from my side, the lessons learned would be, we should use this experience towards actually what Kristaps was outlining, this public and private collaboration, to extrapolate this model of actually, saying, hey, we should change something. And we have, local companies or companies from abroad, doesn't matter, to collaborate all together to bring some new value, to transformate the existing process towards different industries. And I think this can be, a next step towards this public-private collaboration there. But, nevertheless, it's time of challenge for sure, especially for quite a lot of startups, I think. And I think we already heard about, the fundraising is harder in particular zone of industries. It's still challenging, but maybe a little bit faster in the biotech and health tech now. But yeah, this is a takeaway from my side. I think we can use this lesson learned to extrapolate this further on.
Okay, thanks a lot. So Kristaps, maybe you can elaborate a bit more.
Yeah, I fully agree with what Emil said. I think of course, it's hard. It's difficult to say that there is something positive in all of this, but still, I think sense of urgency is now on the table, right? Before that was nicely designed in some strategies, documents, and I'm not talking about the policymakers, right? I mean, in anyone, right? It's like in a companies, on some board members who kind of were always kind of nicely saying that we need to do this business transformation and to pivot to the new services. Now, they are must do that, right? And this, I think the very good example was actually also our educational system, right? Like half year ago, everybody were saying there is kind of what type of remote education can be possible. It's a kind of like not possible in a polite way saying, right? And now everybody sees that it's actually doable, right? And the same, I have the same feedback also from a lot of the companies. I had one magazine clubs, magazine Capital was in 2 years back. I had also a pitch, and I was pitching through this about the work from anywhere, and the feedback from the, not naming a big companies across the Latvia was like, no, it's not good. Nobody really wants that, and it's like it's a kind of devil thing, right? And now suddenly it's possible. Suddenly it's also effective, right? So the sense of urgency pushes actually for us to kind of go out of our kind of everyday comfort, right? So that's A. B, I think, again, I think Emil's is a good example. Once there is no possibilities about traveling or no possibilities meeting face-to-face for the companies or for the project, there is no any more physical borders of the countries, right? So it's no difference whether I talk to you here in Latvia on the Teams or I talk to you, I don't know, with Emil's in the Hong Kong or with Aleksis in the States, right? So these borders are broken apart, and we can utilize these advantages, as also Emil said, right, about the talent and our costs, right? So value for money is definitely much higher rather in the States, right? So these two things, I think, gives us an advantage. And of course, fields like which are directly influenced by this COVID will accelerate faster, but still, I think there is a lot of indirect, which probably we don't recognize at this stage, but this definitely will be, right? Because a lot of there are really a lot of the side effects, good and positive side effects of all of this, right? Which will need to be served and somehow supported afterwards as well, right? this is not just for the clinics, it will be about the education, about the reskilling, upskilling to the new ways, right? And about the engagement, because we don't meet so often as we would like to. So this is a good momentum for a lot of new ideas to be implemented.
Okay, thanks. Evita?
Yes, it was, we proved a lot in the spring. We proved in public sector that we can work very, very fast if we need. And I hope this processes will stay like this and will not go back how it was before, that we could actually use this crisis to analyze how we do policies, how we make policies, how is our decision-making process working, and what technologies can do with that, help to that. So innovation also in public sector. I think many people had to learn very fast how to use technologies, how to use Teams or other instruments to actually be able to work. And after this, also collaboration with private sector was really good. There was new, like after COVID, e-class and other e-SIMA and other solutions that actually was based on public sector needs. We are working now pretty hard to move forward with this innovation procurement process. It is really essential to have it and boost the innovations based on public sector needs. So the learnings, I think, will be much more than we can see now. One thing from my personal perspective, I would like that we really invest in analysis in this, what we did right, what we did not so right, and develop like standard guidelines how we should act in situations like this, and skip all the processes that we don't need actually. Thank you.
Okay, thanks a lot. So we have a question in the chat. So the question is, so given the size, should Latvia and Baltic states specialize their startup activities, focusing on specific branches or industries? So who would like to address this question?
I can add, like, just from how we see from government side. The one that I started with about the startup horizontal approach, I think what we don't, we have big egos, every country, Lithuania, Estonia, Latvia, but actually if we look at the critical mass in our economy is pretty small. So my opinion is that we should concentrate on developing this together with all Baltic states. So yes, and if we look about niches, we have our strong sides that we see where we can develop like deep tech startups, and then it's more soft ones. But I think the same is in other countries. Together, probably it's a good pool of specialized niches or sectors that we could promote. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. So Aleksis, could you comment on this? Would you think we should specialize on something?
Currently don't see that each country could specialize on something, like Evita told. So in every country we believe that we are the best, so it's hard to say that now Estonian will be fintech oriented and we will just growing cucumbers. So no, I would say that it would be work, but more cooperation between governments, between networking agencies, that definitely would help, yeah. Because venture capitalists already cooperate a lot, because market is too small to go to the war alone. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. So we have one more question in the chat. So that's from our master student from India. So he is interested, what are some opportunities that he could work on some start or to start IT company in the Baltic states. So how is it for foreigners? What's the possibilities or opportunities?
I think we share that there is actually no difference in which country you are sitting or coming to. As we heard, all of the businesses are saying that there is a lack of a talent. So as well as Aleksis says, he's looking outside the Latvia borders as well as the same for Accenture. We actually have in Latvia, I think, more than 20 different nationalities. So before the COVID, we were hiring really across the globe. So I think nowadays there's really no difference, actually. I mean, in a positive way, no difference from where are you, how old are you. I mean, most important is the kind of attitude and a willingness to upskill. If you understand that there is some gaps to fill for the needs. So if your students still don't have a job, I think all three of us will be happy to have an interview.
Yeah, I might add just a couple of sentences. So I think I can refer to what the master student was telling about starting a company or working on IT sphere startup, because I also for the last 15 years, I live in Latvia. So basically, I'm also, a foreigner back in the days who went here to study, starting from the school. But nevertheless, we have opened the company, no problems. We don't have any problems, with actually, working all together with the different nationalities. So I think this is referring to the second question. To the first, very quickly, there are actually, moves like Lithuania as an example. Their prime minister told that they will be investing to biotech very, very deeply. And they had a plan to double the GDP from the biotech sphere actually in X years, several years. I don't remember the exact number, but you can check it on the Scanbalt, which is a consortium of the biotech. And referring to the first question, I think what we should do, on a governmental level, we should create a friendly environment for everyone, basically not disturbing the people to create innovations, whether it's agrotech, edtech, or just for fun. It doesn't matter. But for sure, certain vectors can be outlined the same way. My favorite, biotech or medtech, where we also have scientific institutions with the right commercialization policy, opening the doors both to corporate and SMEs to walk in, work together, and get out as a joint venture or as a spin-off, and then fundraise and grow. But yeah, it's from my side.
Okay, yeah, so we have to sum up. I don't know if there is some concluding remarks from any of you, something that you would like to add that wasn't been said yet.
No, just thanks, Ilona, for accelerating this kind of conversation across different ecosystem players, right? I think it's very crucial in having that, and now it's actually in our arms, our kind of heads and our teams is to kind of do this transformation, similarly to hackathon folks, that we don't kind of fall back tomorrow, but we actually take actions, short, mid-term actions from this all, and kind of execute, right? I think that's the key now.
Triin wanted to add.
Yes, I was just pointing that Angelina wanted to ask a question, exclamation mark. But I don't know if she's going to ask it or not. But anyway, if she's not, then thank you for inviting me in, and it was very interesting to listen to this. And I personally feel that you are very, very close to where we were a couple of years ago, let's say 4 years ago. So there's not much, too much to go. So you're very, very close. And I really hope that we have more of this collaboration, and we think highly of Latvians as well as Lithuanians. So I think that this collaboration now between our countries and also what we're doing in terms of COVID, and also of course on the other side we have Finland, who we're also involving into like this let's stick together when we fight against COVID. So I think that all this can also happen throughout what not sector.
Okay, thanks a lot. So really huge thanks for all of you for taking part in this conversation. And indeed, I think we had a lot of valid points, and at least I hope it was good food for thought, and maybe also some inspiration indeed for more execution, because this is what we will have to do. So these just in concluding remarks, that this talk is part of my postdoc project, and in fact we have those series of these events, and the next event will be next Thursday, again at 11 o'clock, where we will in fact continue with this topic, but from a perspective of a firm internationalization. There we will have a key speaker from University of Turku, Peter Zettening, and then again we will have very interesting panel discussants from both governmental part, businesses, startups, etc. So stay tuned and hope to see you again. And thanks a lot once more. So it's time to finish. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thanks.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.